We're about to dive deep into one of the most twisted and complex stories of our time. It's a story about staggering wealth, absolute power, and secrets so dangerous they could shake the entire global elite. This is the story of Jeffrey Epstein and his files.
You know, every dark story has a setting, a place where the worst things happen. For this one, it all starts in what should have been a paradise, a private island completely cut off from the rest of the world. But this isn't just about a place, it's about who went there. We're talking about a guest list that reads like a who's who of global power. Presidents, princes, CEOs, you name it. And at the very heart of it all, there's a secret. A truly horrific secret that some of the most powerful people on the planet tried to keep hidden, but it just refused to stay buried. So let's start right there, at the epicenter of this whole thing. This private island that became the stage for these unbelievable acts. What in the world was really going on at Little St. James? So its official name is Little St. James. It's this 72-acre slice of the Caribbean that Epstein owned outright. On the surface, you'd see luxury villas, private docks, everything you'd expect. But behind that facade, it earned a much darker nickname, Epstein Island. And this is where it gets really weird. The whole island seems like it was built for secrecy. When the FBI finally raided the place, they found this bizarre landscape. There was a weird temple-like building, confirmed underground tunnels, and strange statues everywhere. The entire island was covered, and I mean covered, in CCTV cameras, right down to a strange face painted on the helipad. And maybe the creepiest thing of all, they found unusual hormonal medicines. Why? That's a question investigators are still trying to answer. Now, to pull something like this off, you need two things: an insane amount of money and the kind of influence that makes you feel untouchable. Which really begs the question, how on earth does a former math teacher become this Wall Street mystery man with his own private kingdom? Well, his rise was just astronomical. He starts out as a math teacher in the 70s, but then he makes this jump into the high-stakes world of Wall Street. The real game-changer for him was when he started managing money for billionaires, especially Leslie Wexner, the guy who founded Victoria's Secret. That gig didn't just get him huge paychecks. It gave him an all-access pass to the world's most elite circles. And just look at the kind of wealth we're talking about. He owned the largest private home in Manhattan, a massive 75,000-acre ranch out in New Mexico, a luxury pad in Paris, and of course, the island. And the thing connecting it all? His private Boeing 727, which got that sickening nickname, the Lolita Express. But here's the thing. Epstein's real power wasn't just his money. It was his contacts. The real currency in his empire was connections and, as a lot of people now believe, secrets. Let's take a look at the web he created.
For instance, flight logs, a huge part of the Epstein Files, show that former President Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's private jet at least 26 times, and some of those were international trips.
Donald Trump was in that orbit too. They were neighbors, they were friends, they ran in the same social circles back in the 90s. Now, Trump has since said that they had a big falling out and that he wasn't a fan, but their connection back in the day is pretty well documented. But maybe the biggest bombshell hit the British royal family. Prince Andrew was accused, very publicly, by a survivor named Virginia Giuffre of abusing her when she was only 17. The fallout from that was just catastrophic. The prince had to step away from all his royal duties and was eventually stripped of his titles. So, this just raises the million-dollar question. How did he keep these powerful people so close? Was he just a charming guy? Or was it something way darker? When the FBI raided his mansion, they found piles of CDs and photos. This discovery lit a fire under the theory that Epstein wasn't just a host. He was collecting blackmail on his very famous guests. So while Epstein was building this network, his victims were fighting this incredibly long and lonely battle just to get someone to listen to them. This is the story of how justice was first denied and then, finally, demanded.
The timeline here is just mind-blowing. The very first survivor to go to the police, Courtney Wild, did so all the way back in 2005. But 3 years later, Epstein gets this secret, sweetheart plea deal. It took another 10 years, a whole decade, and a bombshell report from journalist Julie K. Brown to blow the whole thing open again, and that led to his final arrest in 2019.
And that 2008 plea deal, it's just infamous. Epstein was facing accusations of trafficking dozens of underage girls. And the result? A secret deal made behind the victims' backs that landed him just 13 months in a county jail, and he got to leave for work 6 days a week.
It was an absolute mockery of justice.
A central figure who was also protected by that deal was Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, she wasn't just Epstein's girlfriend. The victims describe her as the mastermind of the whole trafficking ring. Her job was to use her high society status to find, groom, and prepare vulnerable young women for Epstein and his powerful friends.
So after he was arrested again in 2019, it really looks like the walls were finally closing in. You heard reports that some of the most powerful people in the world were terrified he was about to start naming names. And then the story took its most shocking turn yet.
On August 10, 2019, just a few weeks after his arrest, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. The official ruling was suicide. But the circumstances immediately sparked a massive question that still hangs over everything. Did he kill himself, or was he silenced?
And the details of that night just feel impossible. The security cameras outside his cell, they supposedly malfunctioned. The two guards who were supposed to be watching him, they admitted they fell asleep. And for some reason, he had just been taken off suicide watch. It's a string of failures so unbelievable that many people think it's just no coincidence.
Now, while Epstein never faced his trial, Ghislaine Maxwell did. After some truly harrowing testimony from her victims, she was found guilty. In June of 2022, a judge sentenced her to 20 years in prison. For many of her victims, it was a piece of justice they had waited decades to see.
But Epstein's death didn't end the story. Not by a long shot. All the focus shifted to the mountain of court documents from his case. And slowly, some of those files have been unsealed, releasing thousands of pages. But here's the catch. That is just a tiny fraction of the total. There is a massive number of pages still sealed, hidden from public view.
And that, right there, leaves us with the final, deeply unsettling question. The man might be gone, but his secrets are still here. With so many documents still locked away and so many powerful names still hiding in the shadows, you just have to ask yourself, who is still being protected?